Kemeni, the interesting thing is that all of these processes were covered extensively by your media house and other media houses. So it really doesn't even need to be our word against theirs. These are pure fabrications. And so, I really am very tired of responding to, I think that they're setting an agenda for us that they expect that we follow. This is very shameful. You see, it's sad to see these kinds of people in leadership. I was just listening to one of them right now, just before you came back to us. And I'm like, Ghanaians just spoke to them very clearly. Just on 7th, from 7th, December, the language was very clear that this is not acceptable to us. So I'm wondering when they'll get the message that this is not the way. And they're so inconsiderate of the ordinary Ghanaian. The kind of thing that they're doing now, especially including what is going on today, imagine if we allowed the anger that is boiling and bubbling up in the ordinary Ghanaian to spill over onto them. So I think that the NDC must be commended for going out of our way to stay our supporters who believe in us and trust us for leadership. Our job has actually been to hold them off. Because these people might appear like they deserve a response. Look at the kind of things that they're perpetuating in the name of God. And then you're wondering if they really believe that there are no repercussions. There's something very interesting about this situation. You know how they say that the elections are won at the polling station. But I dare say that through this process, we realize that that's another point of fallacy. You can win your elections at the polling stations, but the MPP has just told us that as far as pink sheets are concerned, they studied how to steal with pink sheets. I think this election has introduced a new level of threat for us, that the EC, once they're colluding with the MPP, will not allow the truth on the face of the pink sheet. So that's another thing for us to look at. He also said you should accept every situation. Accept every situation or only your situation. Because myself, along with 4 others, were declared. You didn't accept it and follow the recommended route for redress. You've gone to all this trouble, including embarrassing yourself, because Ghanaians can see clearly these people have no honor. And to think that this is leadership, I hope that the NDC is listening to a character like himself, calling us brothers and talking about sharing food with us. This is coming from a party of liars, thieves, and killers. They've killed and maimed ordinary, innocent Ghanaians in their quest for power. They've poisoned each other. I'm talking about the Yayawaso West and other situations. And all the people that have died for elections. And this is what the NDC refuses to do with Ghanaian lives. Because you see what is going on right now.
I can understand that those people died in the election. Those people were at the collation centers when the deaths occurred. But you're blaming directly the NPP for causing the death.
Yes, I am.
But we don't have evidence of that.
No, we do have
orchestrated that.
We do have evidence because under their directions, the kind of force that was applied to result in those situations were applied. They orchestrated situations like that were so toxic that people will come out and express their disgust at the conditions, and they will respond with force. And that's why I'm saying that NDC should be commended, because you know how many people are ready to come out of their homes and protest against this and fight and protest against what is going on right now. But the position of my party is that everybody should stand down, including the fact that as a candidate and my lawyer, we walked into the collation center practically naked of any kind of protection or support into the situation that you witnessed with your own cameras. So this is what I'm saying. This is a difference in leadership. So if you ask somebody who is speaking in the name of God and is obviously somebody who will orchestrate, who would lie, will steal, and somebody who will deceive just to get their own way, because you say you're inconsistent in your speech at every turn. These are people that have no regard either for human life, have no regard for the law, have no regard for anything that is natural. And, you know, so I will advise Ghanaians. I mean, I think that they're already aware that these are people that cannot be trusted, but I'll advise my party also to be wary and look at how to protect us beyond this point, especially in Parliament. And, well, you know, I think at this point, I'm not so worried about the situation because I believe that we will still prevail. As Honorable Dafiamepo has indicated, we haven't exhausted all avenues yet, and there should be at least something of integrity that holds out in this country against all of this tyranny. So we're sure that by the time we get to the end of the matter, there will be clarity. But like you put it earlier, this is a script playing out, and I don't think that we expected any different. We're not sitting here because we're surprised. We're sitting here to guide all of us through the process of what we saw happening and is happening. But we'll also like to use the opportunity to put them on notice that we will not roll over. We will make decisions that protect human life and Ghanaians in general. We're concerned about keeping Ghana as a whole. But the survival of Ghana requires that elements like you are purged out of the system in leadership, because we cannot afford to go in this direction.
Are you referring to the majority leader when you say that?
Yes, him and his ilk of thieves and connivers and forgers.
You can't call them that.
I'm doing that based on the evidence that we're dealing with right now. Because
but we can't associate with that.
Well, no, we have
as a brand.
Right. You cannot, but I can. Because you've seen declarations made for us, and you're being asked not to accept that, but to accept theirs, which is in clear violation of the law, when our processes were legal. And the same person says, whatever the situation is, please accept it in the name of God. Yeah. And I can call this person a liar, a trickster, and somebody, I mean, well, whatever it is. But
Ghana, the Lord's name in vain.
Exactly. And that is even what I fear most. But obviously, these people have gotten away with it to a certain point. What is happening to their side right now should be an indication that if they push much further, they might get a response that they still haven't fathomed. But we'll leave it there for now. I just like to say, I have confidence in the ability of my party and all of us to go through processes that will protect Ghanaian lives, but will still achieve the intended results.
So Ebi, yes. in the first declaration, it was done using the results of 146 polling stations, which means there were 2 left.
Yes.
Is there a chance that now that the 2 have been added, that the results could have been flipped?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Let
me answer that.
Okay.
Yes. These 2 pink sheets were fabricated. The contents of the originals with the EC officers were markedly different from the contents of the duplicates that were originally given at the polling stations after the close of poll. The originals now bears names, signatures, year of election, time that the polls closed. The duplicates did not. Figures were different. So if you don't resist such a forged document, it will go against you. As a trained lawyer, I cannot accept that. It's a fabricated evidence. The evidence is not credible. All right? But the MPP insists that should be added. The AC insists that should be added in favor of the MPP. The figures on it favor the MPP candidate. That is why today they claim that they're beating her by 55 votes. When the Monday declaration put her around 240-something votes.
241 above
Thank
them.
You understand? So, but for those 2 fabricated pink sheets, she's in the clear.
And you notice the fabrication on the first declaration or collation because the dates and numbers were not the same as the original.
You see, a duplicate must be a replica of the original.
Yes.
So where you have an original, the contents of which are not reflected on your duplicate, then there's a fabrication.
Okay, so what I'm trying to understand
explain. So to the extent that we compelled Ofosuhini, the Metro Director, to invite one of his presiding officers, and they're called presiding officers, in respect of one of those pink sheets to come. When he came, the man came to admit that, oh yes, I completed these pink sheets in the office after the close of polls. 2 of them. After the close of polls. Why? Because when we close at 5, and we did the tabulations and I announced the results, we were tired. So when I came to the office that I was reminded to complete the pink sheets. That story is also another concussion, because clearly they have sat down to fabricate the pink sheet and insert figures that will favor the MPP candidate.
I dare say.
Okay.
Let me use the
I'll come back to you. Let me hear
okay.
Ebi out. Ebi.
Okay.
Let me use the opportunity to point out that, interestingly, there was no name and signature or anything like that on our pink sheets.
On the duplicates.
On the duplicates. So therefore, you have no way of even proving that that was the
original.
The officer.
Yeah.
In the first place. Now you've produced an officer who comes with an excuse. But we're not obliged to accept that, because we don't even know where those sheets came from that you've given us. Okay? So, and that happened in three places. Yeah. And for those two, this were the excuses. So we refuse to admit, those two.
In fact,
and
originally, there were 18. There were 18 with issues. So we were, totals were not done. So we agreed that, okay, this ones,
some of them,
they are not
figures
material.
didn't match, but they weren't different from the originals that they had.
Okay.
So we'll discuss and reach a consensus. But on these two, it was obvious that the fabrication was just too real. And then there's an admission that these were completed without representation, without our agents. Not to talk of the fact that on these two sheets even, we could not authenticate that these were our agents' signatures. So these were very real issues that we weren't going to agree to. But in our case, all our pink sheets were considered. All from the 148 were considered. 2 were rejected based on these reasons after we had conceded on 16. Okay, but the interesting thing about fabrications and stuff like that is done to favor a certain candidate. So when you try to foist it, when you ask, will it affect the result? Of course it will. And we're very sure that this was done extensively. But if they've done a clean job, then you really have no way of saying for sure that this is what happened. Right. But for these two, there's no way around it. They didn't pass muster under any logical,
right. And today
explanation.
You didn't even have the chance also today to raise those objections because...
No, we didn't. And that's the interesting thing. If you look at most of these seats that are being flipped, it is where they have departed from the norm of collation. So, for example, in my seat and Baba Sadiq's seat, for, as examples, the returning officers refused to partake in this process or were prevented from partaking in this process. So, for example, Tema Central, that was one of the main issues with the first collation. But we agreed, if the Metro director decided that he was the senior officer and decided to relieve the returning officer of his duty to collate and declare, no problem. So he got the returning officer sat there quietly without any involvement in the process and took charge of the process. After which, under supposed duress, you appointed someone else to declare the results on your behalf. Now, these were all decisions that you made. And I'm saying if there was duress, we would have forced you to declare the results. In any case, today, after he himself had complained, and one of the trending issues with Tema Central was that the person who handled the process and did the declaration was not the returning officer. So today I said on my first condition, before my lawyer starts to speak about whether the court order is being, complied with or not, is that the returning officer whose duty it is to manage the process must be in charge. If you notice in the case of Aplikuma North, that is why he was able to express the decision that without the parties' participation, he was not going to go ahead with collation. These are the rights of the returning officer. Now, again, this same person who contrived the first situation is sitting in the chair and making the decision that he is going to handle the process today. And we said, but what happens to your RO who is present here? Why don't you stay out of the process and allow the RO to do his job? And this he refused to do. And that's one of the issues that we were arguing about. I'm sure that your cameras captured that. And then the issues that my lawyer has raised after. Interestingly, I think that immediately we left, we hear, and we watched on TV as well, the arrow for Tema Central, also just like Ablikuma North did,
had threats from
indicated that he had threats on his family and his children and all of that from the MPP. And so he was going to recuse
himself
from the process.
Also because we were not there.
Also because we were not there. But bear in mind, this guy is being sat and prevented from doing his job from day one. I think that my colleague Baba Sadiq has, a similar issue.
Indeed, he does.
In addition to the outstanding pink sheets.
Indeed. In a bit, we'll go to Alfred, and Alfred will take on that conversation with Baba Sadiq. Baba Sadiq is here with us in the studio. Remember that in the original declaration, Baba Sadiq was declared winner of the Okankwe Central contest. However, in today's declaration, he's lost that seat to the incumbent Patrick Boama. Alfred.
Well, that's exactly what is happening now. In fact, the earlier declaration had Baba Sadiq polling a little over 15,400 votes thereabout. And then the incumbent MP Patrick Boama trailing with some 14,900 votes and over. That was without the 31 polling stations. And this Okankwe Central constituency we're talking about has 141 polling stations. That declaration earlier was done with 110 polling station results. Now, there's been some explanation as to why the 31 polling station results were not added to the previous declaration. And the man to speak to it is here with us. Baba Sadiq, it's good to have you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So per the declaration we are seeing right now, 21,099 in favor of Patrick Boama and 19,368 for you.
Yes.
Now, this is within 31 polling station results that were earlier contested. Why was it not added in the first instance?
In fact, I mean, on the day when we met last week, we noticed that when we did the entire polling station by polling station, we noticed that some of the polling stations, they had swapped our figures with that of the MPP candidates.
They swapped the figures?
They swapped it. So you take a pink sheet, you realize that every other detail on the pink sheet is right, but when you get to the actual, where the number and the words are, you will notice that where we are truly gotten a bigger number, that is given to the MPP candidate, and then his less number is given to us. And that was strange. So last week when we sat and we're doing the collation, we began to notice these things. And by the time we're done, we had noticed about 31 of the polling stations where such things had happened.
They swapped your results?
Where they swapped our results with his result. So in a particular polling station, for instance, where we got 266, and then he had 192, they gave the 192 to you. On their pink sheet. They gave the 192 to us and gave the 266 to him. But on our pink sheet, we had the 266 and then he had the 192. So our argument to them was that, look, we don't manufacture these pink sheets. These pink sheets are copies of what you give to us. And so if you've given us pink sheets, and they looked at the pink sheet, they examined it. There was nothing wrong with that particular
pink sheets.
The pink sheet that we had. Now, the 31 pink sheets that we have, if you collate the numbers that we have, the ones that we have, we would have been leading Patrick. We would have gotten our 52.92% of the total vote that had been casted. But when you switch the figures, which is consistent with the pink sheets they're working with today, then you would have the figure that is having today, which is again even different from what he had projected. This is about a third or fourth figure that from what he had projected that he had won. This is totally even different.
I see.
And so that was the point that we're making to them. Today, when we got there, the first thing we checked was realized that the returning officers had declined to be part of it. If you look at what was happening.
So Okankwe Central returning
the same thing
was not
part of it. So then they had said that there was a deputy returning officer. Then we questioned. What shows that he has an authority or mandate to actually be the returning officer, because the original returning officer should be the one actually returning this particular election results as well. Then they explained that this morning, today, he had been appointed as returning officer. Then I demanded from the original returning officer that what shows that he's actually been appointed. They said they have a letter. They want to show it to us. I said, no, I need a copy of it. So in actual fact, my first condition was that before that proceeds, in actual fact, they need to produce a letter indicating that this person is mandated and authorized to actually continue with
Did you ever get the letter?
That was they didn't. She just showed it to me. I said, no, I cannot take what is actually on your phone. You need to give us a copy. Then the second aspect of it was that, well, by the time we had gotten there, they had started and said that they are through with about 24 of it. Then we started to raise the objections to it. Then one of the officers came in, and senior officers, the deputy regional officer who had come in with, what do you call it, Afenya Marking this morning, who had come in with him, so said that, okay, well, let's begin to listen. Then we pointed out to them and said, look, last week when we came, there was a challenge. The challenge we noticed was that some of the pink sheet, master pink sheet that you brought to us, the numbers are different. The numbers have been swapped. What do we do when such scenarios play out in this particular instance? Then there was a stalemate. So we said to them that we need to actually find out a way on how to deal with this, because it would then show that it is criminal. Numbers were forged, numbers were cooked for the MPP candidate. And in actual fact, Patrick Obama knows deep within his heart he didn't win this election. If Patrick Obama is actually winning elections in the Kaikwe Central, he wins with a margin of about 9,800. If he's having to hold on to 1,200, 1,700, he knows deep within his heart he didn't win this particular election.
He knows deep within his heart.
He knows it. Look, his demeanor from last week, his approach from last week, and this is last week when we met during the collation. His agents had been clear. This was captured live on TV3 that they didn't have pink sheet. In fact, they said that their pink sheet was collected, they were beaten and it was collected from them. Now, today, and to that point, Otokuno actually even shot back and asked them that if indeed your pink sheet you've been beaten, pink sheet had been collected from you, did you report to the police? They didn't report to the police. Today, rather interestingly, for just one of the polling stations, they produced a pink sheet which they were hideous about. Then subsequently, we said to them that, okay, in the first instance, you have said that the MPP should produce their pink sheet so they can do the comparisons. Okay, subsequently, when we go in, let's see the pink sheet from the MPP. The MP was sitting down there and telling them, no, they shouldn't carry on. They should carry on. They didn't produce it. They searched, they didn't find it. And then, almost as if they were singing in unison, the voice and the narrative of the MPP was the same as the ECs. Almost like, oh, go ahead, they are doing their job. They've asked they are going to work with their original pink sheet. But we have said to them that, look, we're not going to prevent you from working with your original pink sheet, but we have challenges with it. Where your numbers are totally different, or where the numbers have been swapped, what then do you do with it? Because these pink sheets are your products. These are not my product. These are copies of master pink sheets that you gave to us. This is what you gave to us. This is what we worked with. In that instance, what do we do? Because quite clearly, forgery had happened. Quite clearly, some criminal activities had happened related to the numbers. So numbers had been forged and cooked. In that regard, we cannot accept this. You know, so then they tried to look. Almost all the officers that came in, when they looked at it, they were confused. They looked at the pink sheets. They were confused. They were dumbfounded. They just didn't know what to do. Only but for them to say that, oh, they are just going to carry on because the instruction is that they should proceed with their master pink sheets. So I said, okay, so what do we do with the pink sheet that you've given to us? That shows that we've actually won. You know, but quite clearly,
the EC officials came today.
They came today to just to be able to, with the mindset of taking the nice. And look, from the morning when we saw the first thing I made, when I saw the marking, for instance, I questioned and asked them, what is he doing here when you've asked some senior members of our party, or what is he doing here when people are not here, when there's nobody here? When you are not even allowing certain people.
Plus 2 agents.
Yes. So what is he doing here in the first place? But he comes in here. He goes in to meet the regional. He comes here. He goes in to meet the regional. What do you call it? Election officers. They come in. They get engaged in their collation, and he stands in there, almost pressurizing them and telling them what to do, pointing to them what to do. Your cameras were there, seeing him all over the place. In most of the declarations, you could see him actually standing there with his hand, almost trying to prep them up for them to do what they want to do. And this is not right. Look, the people of Kaikwe Central has decided. The people of Kaikwe Central they rarely speak. In the last 3 election cycles, you could see that what they had said. In this particular election, if you look at polling station by polling station, there were polling stations that, if you take it out, polling station by polling station, and asking with everybody with all the evidence, you would see. There are a string of polling stations, for instance, that we do not win. Original ward, right behind the Abeka Market. This has been a safe polling station that Patrick Obama wins. These are 6 polling stations, right? We won 5 out of them. 5 out of them. Everybody, pictures, videos, everything shows that we won that 5 polling stations. Today, the details that they have at the EC shows that he had won 3 out of the polling stations. How? Same thing. Again, in the polling station, there are polling stations called the Restoration Police Station near the Jacob School. These are 7 polling stations. We want all these polling stations. Everybody that was there, no C's. We had the pink sheet. It was there. The jubilation was right. You could see the numbers and everything. Today, out of the 7 polling stations, they are telling us we want 4 out of that polling stations. How is that possible? How is that possible?
So the normal picture is that when there's collation going on, you, the MPP candidate, the NDC candidate, the polling station, that's your pink sheet results should tell you what the EC has.
Right.
Yes, because you have a duplicate.
Because that's a duplicate.
The MPP also has a duplicate. But in the Okakwe Central situation, you had a duplicate.
Right.
And the Electoral Commission's original so-called did not have the duplicate figures that you had.
Exactly, it didn't have that.
And the MPP didn't have their pink
sheets. The MPP didn't have their pink sheets.
And the declaration was made.
Was
still made.
I see. Anyway.
Yeah. But you know, Alfred, interestingly, Okakwe Central
yes, I just wanted to...
It's one of those areas that the Electoral Commission did not make any comments about how the collation and declaration was done. Remember, they released a statement telling us the problems that went on in all of the contested areas. Okakwe Central is not one of those where they said somebody was put under duress or the processes were not followed. So the question then will be to the Electoral Commission, why are we going through
on what
this
basis?
Again? On what basis is Okakwe Central going through
the
this
basic
again?
questions so that our viewers can understand the process that takes place at the collation center. The Electoral Commission has a master copy of the pink sheet.
Right.
And the parties have, or the candidates have duplicates of what's supposed to be the master copy of the Electoral Commission.
Supposed to be the original.
And the duplicates must contain the same figures and everything as
the replica of the original.
Exactly.
So that's what you call the carbon copy.
The carbon copy.
Right? Now in this situation, the carbon copy has different figures from what the so-called original should have.
Yes.
Yeah. But the other party doesn't have any carbon copy.
And the MPP that didn't
Doesn't
produce
have
the
And normally when it happens like that, it will be favoring the MPP.
Yes.
And it's been played out in almost all the constituencies.
When you want to steal, you must steal to favor you. That's why you are stealing.
Because the EC
but if a party doesn't have his duplicate or carbon copy, should that not be to the disadvantage instead?
No, that is why I told you that
not
EC officials, you see EC officials in EC jackets, but they are working for the MPP.
Okay, look at this Okakwe Central constituency. Baba Sadiq made a comment about the margin of votes victory for Patrick Yabuama. Let's take it from 2016. He started in 2012. Well, let's go to 2016. 2016, he won with, in fact, over 11,000 votes.
In fact, it would be good if you start from 2012.
It gives you, started from 2012.
It gives you the decline.
I'll show you. From 2016, 11,000 votes difference between him and the NDC candidate then. 2020, he won with 9,000, just about 9,000.
9,300 plus.
But here in 2024, we're saying just about 1,000 something. Yeah, 1,030. That's a little over 1,000 votes.
Put that on for Thomas.
Right? So this is just to buttress the point that Baba Sadiq makes about the trend in terms of the margins of victory. But if you look at 2012, just for the benefit of the analysis as well, we'll get into 2012 shortly. But look at this. In 2012, this was the results for parliamentary in Okakwe Central in the Greater Accra region. Quickly for parliamentary in 2012. Yeah, we'll pull that up shortly so that we'll get the analysis going on it. But while we are at it, you indicate that per the declaration today, it clearly raises fundamental questions about procedure.
Exactly.
What are you going to do next?
Well, for me, we're still conferring with leaders of the party regarding what the next line of actions would be. We had indicated strongly from the onset that we, on the basis of the pink sheets that was given to us by the by the EC, know that we have won the seat. It's factual. The numbers actually shows it. We brought all our pink sheet. In fact, I actually came with all the pink sheet. I came with all my pink sheet here, because I've always made the point that at any point on any forum where the pink sheet would have to be examined and analyzed to show that we duly won the Okakwe Central seat. So we're still conferring with our leadership as a party.
Yeah.
I'm sure that in the next few hours, in the next few days, whatever we'll do will be duly communicated. But like I said, this is unacceptable. This is not something that we are going to accept. The people of Okaikwe Central have decided, polling station by polling station, they've indicated who their choice is. When you go to look, this is and you know the funny thing, this particular result actually mirrors the assembly elections. We won in 4 electoral areas out of 5.
Same in
4 electoral areas out of 5.
I see.
How does, and even in the electoral area where he had won, we had about 48%. In Apenkwa, for instance, we had about Apenkwa electoral area, we had about 48% of the votes.
And
you could see from his demeanor and he himself, when he had come in there and we're pointing it out to him, look, the guy knew he had lost. He from, you know, even from when we're questioning, when we're going back and forth with the EC and everything, he was just prepping his guys not to even respond to any queries about bringing even or pulling up the pink sheet. So when they looked, they didn't have any pink sheet, and he asked them to move on. He knew from all his demeanor that
on the day of the declaration that you were declared as MP-elect, and confirm this if the information we got was right, that some pink sheets were presented by the Electoral Commission that had the same handwriting, same signature. Did that happen?
Come again on that particular one. What do you want to...
The 31 pink sheets.
Yes.
At the time that it was disputed.
Yes.
Did it have some handwriting that was same and the signatures same?
Yeah, so what we noticed was that some of the master pink sheets, you will notice when you look at our pink sheet, the handwriting corresponds with some details of the
returning officer.
The pink sheet, the pink sheet that they presented, right? But where it comes to the numbers, where the numbers are, the handwriting is clearly different. When you look and when you examine it, the handwriting is different.
You had the same thing at
Yes, the handwriting on the pink sheet that they presented
so
is different.
one person was filling them.
So you will see that one person was filling all the other parts, and then somebody came to fill. Somebody came to complete.
Which shouldn't be the case.
Which shouldn't be
because they are
the
from
case.
different polling
Yes,
Exactly.
but in our case, that's one of the reasons why we stood down on a lot of those was that we're just trying to get past. Because like I said, there's consideration for all the people milling outside. So you see, okay, you know, worst case scenario, we win anyway. So this is how we made our decisions. And some of these things are subjective by arguments. So you can tell that these have been fabricated. But to what extent? If the copy is done properly and the arguments, the fact that, as long as it was filled, in situ, it's okay. Sometimes we stand out on that. And that's why we indicated that we started from as many as 18. So a lot of these things we had seen in our case as well. But that's why I'm saying you accept only so much. The point was that, okay, your win is being stolen. But can they get away with it completely? If they can't, then stand down and let us move along. But you get to a point where obviously the person is asking you to play dead. While some process passes, over your head. And that we felt was way too insulting. You see, in Tema Central, for example, we won, in fact, areas, they're strongholds. And that's where the jubilation started. At every polling center, and on an average of 30% above my opponent, we were winning from what we collated as far as polling station and polling center reports were concerned. And then you get down now and then you see, I'm sure that you have footage and audios of the fact that I had to fight my own collation table before we progressed to fighting at, yes, because you have a situation where we have pink sheets at my party level and they're disappearing and reappearing different. And then you have to try and start to see, yes, so all of these things, I dare say that most of these things are not possible completely without some collusion from the inside. But that is our own burden to carry as a party. You understand? And we'll deal with all of that. But the important thing is, I can have issues in my house, but it doesn't mean that you come in and rub me blind. As far as we're concerned, we're not going to allow them to get away with the thievery. Whoever we need to discipline is our business. But for you, as long as we've caught it, if we didn't see those that have passed over our heads, fine. Those that we've conceded to, fine. But there's some that just beg common sense and logic, and we're not going to fall for those ones.
I think, but
No, in that case, for
was the
instance,
process restarted in your case in terms of the collation? Was the collation done again from scratch, or you just continued from where you left off?
That's for today or when
Today.
we met last
No,
week?
today.
No, what was in contention was the 31 polling stations.
Okay.
You know, so when we had come in,
No,
from
but
Did you even
one of
start?
the
Oh, no,
key
let me
issues.
finish, Honorable.
One of the key issues for me today
was that they didn't start from the top.
No, the court ordered recollation.
Recollation.
Recollation means
They're
retabulate.
letting everything from the top.
Thank you.
Start again.
But
You know,
in this
because
instance,
that it will show. Look, one of the interesting things was
That's one
that
thing.
today, what was very funny is that there's a particular group of polling stations called CPC in Fadama Ogbemowo electoral area, CPC. At CPC, 3 polling stations, we had won in all those polling stations. Today shows that he had won in all those polling stations. And it is shocking and
you have to
scandalizing even
recollect.
for the people that are in
it all
the
over.
CPC part.
Fadama,
So the
night
people
market
who
area.
They are
witnessed
shocked.
it.
Yeah.
How is it possible that
It's the
CPC,
same thing in
that
my
we
case.
sat, we filmed, have videos that we had won in these polling stations, 3 polling stations, and then today it shows that Patrick Yaboma had won in those polling stations. How is this possible?
That is why the law requires in regulation 39(3) thereabout.
Working seat.
Okay, that after the presiding officer has done all this and given duplicates to agents and they are gone, paste a copy at a vantage point at the polling station. So every election is local. So the people who cast their votes at that locality knew
They
who
know
emerged
it.
the winner.
Winner.
So when you move ballot boxes from Fantiakon and bring them to Tesano and come and declare for another person, they are aggrieved in that locality. When you move Fadama to reach and declare for another person, the Fadama people will be aggrieved.
Yeah.
These are the matters confronting us. When you move, what's this your place? It's a very popular one where you feed the people.
The Tuobodom.
When you move,
Community 12.
the police station results from Tuobodom
area.
with a picture, come and declare
The
at reach.
Valco flats
Yes.
area.
No,
No.
Tuobodom is very close to the motorway.
The Valco electoral
It's
area
around
is
Committee 12. When you come and declare at reach,
My slums.
that is for Charles Forson who has won. The people in Tuobodom are angry
Yes.
because their mandate has been stolen clearly
And
by the connivance of EC officers.
just by the way,
This will not be happening if EC officers are neutral. If they are neutral, these things won't be happening.
interestingly, if you have
Because
a
they'll
center,
see through.
if you have a center with up to 10 polling stations, those polling stations with these forgeries, the results have been either torn off, singled out and torn off the walls, or were never pasted at all.
I see.
Yes.
Because
So
there were
these are
disputes.
yes.
For us, the good thing we did was to ensure that by 10 p.m. on the night of elections, we had all our pink sheets. That was one of the good things that we had.
Well.
We had all our pink sheets in, and we had done our collations. This explains why by 12 or 1 a.m. on the night or the morning of the elections, we had known and projected that, we had
Because we
won the
monitored
elections.
some
And
serious
in fact, look,
collation.
there are even
Yeah.
certain parts. When you go to, there's a place we call Vuga Quarters, right? Ebi Quarters. They mostly vote in Restoration or votes at Church of Christ. In all those places as well. Usually, in the last few elections, you realize that it's been scatter and blast in those places. This time around, they made sure that we won in all those places as well. So this is these people on the ground. They know. You go to Vuga, you go to Wayaman, you go to La Paz Police Post. We usually do not win in La Paz Police Post. 4 police stations, we had 1 in 2.
And let me make this point. We've also discovered that, look, the pink sheets, the EC officials, some have duplicate copies
Of the pink sheet.
of the pink sheets. So they have originals of the original.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I see.
So this explains the
Yes,
the
they are
varying
original,
figures.
so they have
the
multiple-
This explains the
original
varying
are 2 copies.
figures.
That's why when
No,
there was
hang on.
disputes, they were able to
Hang on.
reproduce
Let's
pink
understand
sheets.
this.
Yes.
So they have
So-
multiple pink sheets.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Of the same.
So they're able to fabricate so that you are,
Yeah,
if you are
Central.
not smart,
Oh, okay, good.
if you are not
The
smart,
cameraman
you
is
can't tell with
pointing at the
the
fact that
serial
you missed
numbers.
Okay.
But if you are smart, you can get them.
So the serial
So
numbers
it happened in our
differentiate
case. We were
what we
able
have.
to prove that. We're
Yeah.
able to prove that even your cameras captured it. So you realize that in the polling centers where we agreed that adjustments should be made, in the presence of all the parties, they were able to reproduce the same pink
Yeah.
sheets for us, and then we all accepted. But this is a case where their fabrications reflected what we had as our own copies. So if there were missing some details, we decided if we were going to agree that it should be corrected. And anytime these corrections needed to be made, they were able to reproduce the pink sheets. But you see, this is in our presence as parties. So that is a legal process. But this is what happens when we're not there. When they need to fabricate, then they fabricate their new one from the same.
And then one pink sheet got missing, parliamentary.
Good.
We couldn't find it. In Central, we couldn't find it.
So,
yes.
Let's make this point quickly.
No, quickly. Let's watch the declaration.
We have to go to the EC office right now. The Dom Kwabenya constituency results are about to be declared after recollation. Let's hear.
Parliamentary results with the party that was not present at the collation center during the declaration that was made on the 8th of December. We realized that 3 polling centers were outstanding. Outstanding means that we didn't have the hard copies, so we rely on the soft copy from the presiding officers. So the commission wanted the parties to bring the hard copy so that we can cross-check. But at the end of the day, they are saying that they also don't have the hard copy. So the commission said we should hold on with the proceeding, and then commission will decide on it. So this is the end of the proceeding for today. Thank you.
What are these constituencies? Which constituency are we talking about? Police station.
So when are we expecting? When are we expecting the declaration? So when are we expecting the declaration?
The commission said they are going to look into the matter and get back to us.
Not essentially today.
We are talking about Domi Kwabenya constituency.
Your name, sir.
Please, your name. Sir, mention your name and designation.
I'm James Kofi, the returning officer. So those polling stations, we have Apostolic Church, Aigbe Town. We also have, I can't see. We also have Soul Care, Assemblies of God, Freetown, 2. And then the third one, I can't see.
So without the hard copies of these polling stations,
the
collation cannot be done?
That is what the commission is saying. I can't see the third one.
Written on paper. How many years is it?
It's not still showing.
Okay. So there are 3 polling centers.
3 polling centers.
When are we coming back?
Commission has not given us a date.
And so because of
we can.
Yes, please. That is what we are not doing declaration today. We are only cross-checking. We are cross-checking from the previous figures. I'm not citing for Abukmano.
So because they are soft copies, that's the reason we are not pursuing, we are not continuing with.
That's what the commission is saying. They are soft copies. We got the figures all right, but the commission is saying that you want a hard copy from
the party agent.
And they don't have the hard copy. So
aside the 3 polling stations.
So Mr. Kofi is the returning officer for Dom Kwabenya, and like he rightly mentioned, the results for the constituency will not be declared because some of the party agents were not able to bring their original pink sheets, and they have the soft copies. And so according to the commission, if the copies are not original copies, they cannot go ahead with the recollation to ensure that the results are declared finally. And so without the original copies, the soft copies cannot pass, and so that's why the constituency result is unable to be declared today. So that of the Ablekuma North also pending. So 2 constituencies in all are having their results pending. So we can say for now that it's actually coming to a close. And so we have that final word or final remark from the Electoral Commission, and they will be giving the green light and the way forward regarding the declaration of result of these 2 constituencies, Dom Kwabenya and Ablekuma North. So Mr. Kofi is a returning officer who just addressed the media shortly, and so these are scenes from the Regional Collation Center where outstanding results of some constituencies were declared. 7 have been done so far. All have gone in the favor of the MPP, and 2 are pending, Ablekuma North and Dom Kwabenya. We've been extensively covering this and giving you all the updates on Facebook. We are live on TV3 Ghana, and even on our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, just name them. We're also updating you accordingly, and that's your Election Command Center. Extensive coverage, post-election coverage. That is what it is. And my name is George Quinnin, and I'm still here. But I wish I could get a few words from the MPP parliamentary candidate, Michael Quay Jr., what he makes of this very decision not to declare the result.
So while we await George Quinnin's attempt to get Michael Quay Jr. to speak, because he is at the venue, so far the information that we have is that the Dom Kwabenya constituency, yes, the Electoral Commission officers there did their recollation, but there were 3 constituencies, that's just 3 polling station results. 3 polling station results that the NPP officers there could not produce the hard copy. They had soft copies. And so the commission says they cannot admit soft copies of the polling station results. And so they've had to put that on hold. So for today, we cannot get any declaration for the Dom Kwabenya constituency. And that is also in tandem with what happened in Ablekuma North. For Ablekuma North, the returning officer says the NDC is not there to validate the 25 pink sheets that the MPP presented. And as a result, he's not going to go ahead with the process. So the man you just saw there for the Dom Kwabenya constituency, the returning officer, James Kofi, that's the name. James Kofi is a returning officer for the Dom Kwabenya constituency. He has indicated that because the MPP could not produce 3 polling station results in hard copy, they have had to put the process on hold for a later date for announcement. So as we speak now, the earlier declaration is still in force. For Sena Akurugo, Eleklima Akurugo for the NDC announced MP-elect. And then we're seeing as well for Ablekuma North, Rabna Oben on ticket of the NDC still in force. At least that's those 2 declarations still in force as we speak. So that's the development with Dom Kwabenya. Is it any different from what you had?
Exactly. In our case, the MPP didn't have pink sheets.
The MPP didn't have.
They didn't have their pink sheets. But so and then in this case, if the EC could actually take a decision to halt the process and look and wait for certain things to be done, why didn't it happen in that case? That's exactly what we're asking them. When we said to them that the numbers that we have on our pink sheet is totally different from the numbers that you have, why couldn't we do this? Look, this confirms a hunch that I've always had. It confirms the fact that looks like the MPP, they were carefully intent of making sure that they get another Empatry Aboma back to Parliament. That was it. Everybody else was just affected. This is just clear because you could see how they forced through with it, because in Dom Kwabenya, for instance, and everything, which is essentially almost the case that we're making, which is said that is an issue of pink sheets here. In this instance, they do not have the pink sheet. They are presenting digital copies. In the MPP's case, they didn't have pink sheets for most of it. They didn't. There was only 1 police station, the first one. Subsequent police station, when you ask them, they cannot actually even present it.
But
why didn't the EC? Yes, because that's why we're fighting, and that's why we moved out. But the process went ahead in the absence, and you see, instructively, it happened without the original returning officer that actually returned the elections. It happened with somebody else who they claim they have given also called an appointment letter only this morning. All of this charade is untidy.
So, all of this is untidy. This position the EC takes when, for instance, pink sheets are not available to authenticate what they have. it has to be a standard operating procedure, not one
subjective.
that is at the whims and caprices of either. Is it not?
So that is why when you have an EC officer in an EC jacket supporting NPP, then you are in trouble.
What do you mean by this?
I am telling you, EC recruited officers who are actually acting to favor your opponent. I am saying this pink sheet is fabricated, so reject it. They agree that it is fabricated. The EC officer says, I will admit it. Because the figures favor my opponent. When it is admitted, I lose. These are the things we've seen. You have listened to Baba Sadiq. You have listened to her. You understand? It's like saying that these are rejected ballots, but I will count them anyway. Because the rule enforced to reject a ballot casted is the same rule applicable mutatis mutandis when the pink sheet is fabricated.
So when you do this Latin language,
but this is my work. You understand?
Translate to English.
By parity of reasoning.
All right, that's just.
But if you have the power to reject a ballot, my old lady goes to cast a ballot. You say no. Because she didn't put a thumbprint in a certain box properly near the face of the candidate, it is rejected. And yet, the same EC officer also, it is rejected. Let's count it as rejected ballot. Yet the same EC officer will fabricate a pink sheet. When I am able to dictate that, I say, no, even though you are saying within the law it is not right, but I will admit it.
Yeah.
That is why the law says after declarations, you have no power to interfere. Let a court of law. That is why you go and lead evidence. You mount the witness stand. You swear an oath. Then I will cross-examine you. Like the presiding officer at the police station who came to Tema Central Collation Center on Monday to say that, oh yes, when I closed, I was tired. We were all tired and we were in a hurry. So I came to complete the pink sheet in the office in the absence of our agents.
Yeah.
Should such a pink sheet be admitted?
That's contrary to what the law says, right?
Thank you.
Because if I look at
a
the
certain
details of it,
metro director of elections.
This is what spells Regulation 43. Subject to Regulation 42, immediately after the results of the poll for all the polling stations in the constituency of the returning officer have been given to the returning officer shall, in the presence of the candidates.
Thank you.
Or the representatives of the candidate.
Thank you.
Or not more than 2 counting agents appointed by each candidate.
Thank you.
Assemble the results from the polling station without recounting.
Thank you.
The ballot in the ballot boxes.
Yeah.
Except where there is a challenge by a candidate or a counting agent in respect of a specific ballot box. Fill the parliamentary election results summary sheet as set out in Form 1D. Give public notice of the total number of votes cast for each candidate.
Thank you.
And publicly declare as elected in parliamentary election the candidate who had the highest votes, which we saw in both your situations. Request the candidates or the representatives or counting agents of the candidates to, together with the returning officer, sign the parliamentary election results collation form as set out in Form 1C of the schedule and the parliamentary election results summary sheet as set out in Form 1D of the schedule and post a copy on the constituency collation center.
Thank you.
You say that in most of the cases they've been torn up. Give each candidate or the representative or the counting agent of a candidate a completed and signed copy of the parliamentary election results collation form as set out in Form 1C of the schedule and the parliamentary election results summary sheet as goes on and on in Form 1D. And then you go through the process.
Yeah. This is collation. I speak of polling station, which is 39. Polling station 1 is contained in 31 sub 3 thereabout, where you are even mandated to post a copy of the results. And when you do that, it is supposed to be a foolproof against an ex post facto event fabrication. That is after the event, somebody can go and fabricate it. No, don't do it. Even though it's a requirement, such a material requirement in law, they haven't done it. The man is claiming that he was tired. So even the completion of the original pink sheet. So it means whatever he torn, whatever he gave to my agent was even not proper.
I see.
So now he goes to the office and go and fabricate his own figures. Then he's caught red-handed, in flagrante delicto.
So we await now.
I see 39 over here.
Thank you.
As we round up, we await
39.
now the declarations in Ablekuma. Read declaration for Ablekuma. North and Dom Kwabenya in the coming days. But Kemini, while we draw the curtains down on this extensive coverage, you hear Ebi Bright and Baba Sadiq talk about the victory that they chalked in what was described as strongholds of their other opponents.
Right.
And that's also instructive if you're looking at the analysis and looking at the bigger picture as well, because then unless there are outliers, if you begin to win in your opponent's strongholds, it only points to one direction, unless there are outliers. But the moment you see that, for instance, in Dom Kwabenya, the NDC people, they started jubilating quite early because in Taifa North, Taifa South, Abokobi, those areas, you hardly have NDC winning. So the moment those polling station results started coming in, it pointed to a particular direction. Then we saw the jubilation there. And then you can talk about the CPC area that Baba Sadiq talks about. Expands into Fadama, the night market area, goes into...
The original word is behind the market.
Yeah, but Tema, you obviously don't know Tema. I'll tell you, Republic.
So you will have those kinds of people. The trend clearly will give you an idea of how things are going, unless there are outliers.
The same thing happened in Tema Central. You know, Vaco electoral area, Black Cat, Low Cost, Republic. I mean, we won this hands down. Union was Ottawa. We won that hands down. I'm saying hands down. Now in Jatagon, we were ahead of them. In horticulture, we're also ahead of them. In Union, we're ahead of them. In Uhuru, we're ahead of them. In A Road, we were at par with them. In Sahara, we're ahead of them. So, I mean, basically,
how do you win
election
with this kind of result from
for
there?
us as well, in the Tesano Enclave, if you see the margins, I mean, the MPP candidate usually wins with. When you look at it, for instance, and you see how he closed the margin, for instance, it will indicate to you in the Tesano areas. That is the only electoral area he won.
And
just 51%.
So everywhere he lost,
minimally.
Yes. But in all the four other electoral areas, Glimagor, which is Abeka, Bemomo, which is Fadama,
I didn't even lose
Olengele, which is the La Paz and its environs, Wanyaman electoral area, we won all these four electoral areas, but for Apenkwa. How does you win an election with just one, that particular one? I mean, it's not even possible.
I am curious because, especially in your case, Baba Sadiq, when we are now seeing that in the case of Dom Kwabenya, scanned copies were not being allowed for collation. Was there room to raise those issues higher than the returning officer?
In fact, we raised it. Well, the moment we got there, they had brought in a scanned copy they wanted to. And then the EC explained that it was two other polling stations that their EC didn't have the numbers. And so they were relying on their scanned copies. And then we questioned, I was like, how do you even rely on their scanned copies? If you, the same person, had told us that the decision you've been given is to use your original pink sheet, how do you rely on their scanned copies?
They are being the NPP,
which is the EC. You know, how do you rely on their scanned copy that they've brought to you? And then they suggested that there were two other polling stations within the 31 polling stations that they didn't have original pink sheets to. So they asked them to actually bring the pink sheet. They said, look, we have all our pink sheet, 31 pink sheet. But the point is that on all the 31 pink sheets, and we raised it from the first declaration that we were supposed to do. In fact, what actually truncated it was when we began to raise these issues at the Constitutional Collation Center, forcing his guys to come in, and then there was a pushback, and then that disrupted it. So we came for the declaration again. So in the same instance, they didn't, if you ask them today to come and show you their pink sheet for us to examine, look, I've always said it. Let them bring all their pink sheet. Let us bring our pink sheet on camera everywhere. Let's look at it. You will notice what has gone on. Clearly a criminal enterprise that has happened. And for me, like I told him there, I said, look, is this how you've been winning your elections all the years? You know, and this is very bad. This is very bad. And for the citizens of Kaikwe Center, for instance, for the change they've wanted to see in this particular elections, and for this thing to happen, this is very bad.
In fact, Patrick told our cameras that even in the original election, if it had continued properly, he won. So this is...
How would he have won? How? Polling station by polling. He should mention, for instance, the polling stations that he said, look, we all know, off-head, I know almost all the polling stations in the constituency. I can tell you where we want, for instance. If you tabulate it, you will see it. If you go to Gbebo, I can mention from the ACC, go to, what do you call it, out for to Lolat coming down. If you go to Blimago, we can mention from Zelos all the way to Harrow, the original ward branches, go to Alive, go to up to MDP. We can mention, I can show you the police stations that we want. In Apenkwa, for instance, we can mention all the police stations from Apenkwa School right up to, what do you call it, Methodist. What is actually even strange is that we actually even want in Methodist. Because we usually do not want in Methodist, so which is the last polling station in the Apenkwa electoral area. So all of this and more, I mean, this is not that. Beside that, this is a party that have told us that the evidence is on the face of the pink sheet. The pink sheet that you gave to us, I don't own pink sheet. I don't create pink sheet. You are giving pink sheets to us. These are copies of work that you've done. This pink sheet, when collated, puts us ahead of, but all of it for 141, not the 110. In fact, the original, our initial projection on the 52.92% that we had gotten was for all the 141 polling stations. It was set aside, the 31 polling station was set aside when we had raised it, and they didn't have any explanation. They didn't know what to do in that particular instance. And the NPP didn't have their pink sheet then.
So it's not even the case that...
Yes, so it's not, so if you follow the pink sheet that they have given to us, all the 141 that we've collated, there's no way you declare the NPP candidate as having won the central elections. You know, but for the fact that they said that, well, we have our own instructions to use our own electoral commission, we cannot even examine. You're not even giving us the opportunity to even examine whatever pink sheet that you say you have. How is this possible? The pink sheets are given to us for a reason. In this particular instance, you've dismissed the value of the pink sheets that you've given to us. In future elections, how do you convince anybody that the pink sheets that you give to us are valuable in the event there is any dispute? How?
So you see, because we make reference to the margin of victory for the MPP in Okaikwe Central, let's look at Tema Central. From 2016, when Ebi Bright first contested on the ticket of the NDC, look at the margin. 68.35%. That's 28,395 for the NPP, who candidate won. 12,937 for Ebi Bright. A difference of almost 16,000.
Yeah, 17,000.
Almost 17,000. Yeah. 16,000 and over, you see. Fast forward to 2020. 31,121 the NPP retained, and the nominal figures for Ebi Bright 16,728. A difference of
15,000
about
more
15,000 difference.
14 plus.
Yeah. Let's look at 2024. If the results declared today is anything to go by, 18,000.
55 votes.
Yes. Why are you going ahead of me?
No, let me.
18,870 for the MPP. God. Charles Forson.
Stolen.
And Ebi Bright, 18,815. That's a difference of 55 votes. That's from this 15,000 and what? Almost 16,000 and over.
16,000 there.
To this.
55.
No, he said. I'm leading by 241. As much as they've stolen, that's as much as they can steal.
From 5,000.
From over 5,000.
In the end, as the case has been made quite clearly, but what next, really? That's take away from us. What next from
we are in court. What's beautiful about all these matters is that even though the NDC, you see, this is why some of us weep sometimes. We weep openly because the Peace Council has been so quiet. The Christian Council has been so quiet.
What can they do in this instance?
2 weeks ago, or let me say sometime last week.
They actually went to be the Peace Council.
When our people decided that our mandate will not be stolen by the connivance of NPP or with the connivance of NPP and some EC officials, and our people decided to mass up. They said, "Oh, we should inform the president-elect to call his men to order. The NDC should call its members to order." NPP was crying, ma. Today, they've stolen our mandate using subterfuge. And the Peace Council is quiet. The Christian Council is quiet. Registered CSOs are quiet. We are in court. They have decided to use the police and other means to do it until the court order came yesterday. They had adopted a grandstanding approach to get these things done in their favor.
But they're still doing it.
And they are still doing it at the collation center. And we pray the NDC is in court.
Okay.
We will abide the outcome of the court process.
All right.
But we will not allow our mandates to be stolen.
That's all.
Look, what I can foresee happening eventually is for the Electoral Commission to order a rerun. In all these matters. That is the only solution to this matter. If they don't order for a rerun, oh my God.
Okay,
In our
we'll
case,
see how
in
the
our
coming
case,
days will look like.
we're saying to them that
Let's hear from Baba Sadiq and Ebi
for us,
Bright
in
as
our
well.
case, it's simple. Well, if you look at the pin sheet, we have maintained that the pin sheet that we use and the pin sheet that was given to us, or the pin sheet that we use consistently, was given to us by the EC. We're saying they should just go by the pin sheet that they gave to us. They cannot continue to be cooking up figures and engaging in fraudulent behavior. This is wrong. And for me, I think there has to be a full-scale investigation. The CID, and I told them, I said, look, the CID must come in at a point. Yes. Even though we do not trust the activities of the CID, there has to be a full-blown investigation to actually investigate how the numbers were different on their pink sheets. This is wrong. People, the district, from the district director to presiding officers, there has to be a full-blown investigation to identify and to come to the conclusion regarding this thing, because this thing cannot happen. And like he said, look, as a party in Okake Central and as part of, members of the NDC, we're not going to allow this to go on. This is not right. This is untidy.
Okay.
And obviously for us at this particular point, we cannot actually even restrain our supporters on what to do even within the constituency. We would have wished that there would have been peace and order. We actually want that. But in doing that, within the way they are behaving and going about it, and going about things, this is clearly not right, and no party, no future party, of course.
Peace and
no, of course. We are, like I said, we have said that. Look, we are committed to the peace. We are committed to ensuring that everybody should stay calm in this particular instance.
Right.
But with the way that is going, where very, very, cogent points, and logical points, common sensical points are made, and nobody's taking it, and it looks like the police and everybody have come together.
They say ignore.
Baba, thank you.
This is a fabricated win. This is a fraudulent and fabricated win for the NPP.
I think at this point, simplistically, everybody is looking at declaring and undeclaring, or
this is the proper stolen verdict,
or all of this. I think that the issues are not as simplistic, because I'm looking forward to people paying the price for their complicity in this situation. People need to be prosecuted. Unfortunately, the law does give us room for such remedy. I think that it wouldn't just be enough that our mandate is restored, which we're going to work, fervently to achieve. And there are many avenues open to us. So this is not the end of the matter. But beyond this, I think that it's important that we advise those that are complicit in this situation that the law allows us to move beyond overturning the illegalities, to go after you. And this is an area where we're looking at accountability. We've shown the way with oral. So if even bigger fishes than you are going to be facing the full rigors of the law, be sure that at every level, corruption must be ousted out. That is the kind of leadership that we're getting. So His Excellency John Mahama and the Ogas at the top are not the only ones that are responsible for cleansing this country of characters like you and occurrences like these, which not only wound persons like myself, but everybody else that we represent. So we want to assure you that part of our responsibility is to come after you, so that subsequently this nation can trust in simple, well laid out processes like what we have in our
their mandate to not be stolen.
In our electoral process, and for all the faith that we once had in it, it is our duty, since we're players in this space today, to restore it. And so, yes, on behalf of myself and Baba, we'll assure you that following in the direction of His Excellency John Mahama and the NDC party, we would also keep you as our constituents and Ghanaians safe. We will not allow any situation contrived to put you in danger because of the nefarious activities of these persons to persist. Thank you very much.